Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Culture Report. I'm Jamol Simon.
I'm Laura Casillas.
And I am Ashton Brooks.
And we're finally kicking off Black History Month the right way.
Yay!
You know, we've been doing some work behind the scenes, so I want to let you know that this month we're launching a new series called Stepping In. Throughout Black History Month, we'll be focused on stepping out of our comfort zones and into spaces that you may not typically see Black people. So this week, I stepped into my first pair of skis, and with the help of photojournalist Amy Hunter, I'm taking you along for the ride. When you think about mountains in the winter, a few words may come to mind. Frigid, beautiful, peaceful, white, 88.1% white to be exact. That's according to a survey conducted by the National Ski Area Association. And when it comes to Black skiers, they make up about 1.5%. In order to see that number go up, we're going to have to go up to copper. My goal for today is not to fall. I know it sounds crazy, but I think I can do it. To Copper Mountain we go.
Look back
to try some skis of my own on for size.
As a rule, Blacks are somewhat cautious and not really risk takers.
Ski instructor Brent Brown was there to help me step out of my comfort zone.
Ready to try it again?
And to share his own experience with the lack of diversity on the slopes.
My mother got me into skiing at the age of 7, and I had no fear at that time, and I've been at it ever since.
He spent over 60 years of his life on skis, and he's seen the social climate shift for the better over the decades.
When I came up here as a teenager, I walked up to the bar and the music stopped, but that's a long time ago, and I don't have any feelings of not feeling welcomed today.
Well, that's good news for me, because it's time to get started.
Little toes up. Nice, good job.
My first attempt was
Ooh.
a little rocky.
Ooh.
My goal for today
Stand up and relax.
is not to fall. I did not accomplish my goal, but we'll call it a rite of passage. Thank you. Okay. It wasn't long until I was off the bunny slope,
Here comes the chair. Sit down.
heading up the lift
All right.
and down the mountain on slightly more challenging terrain. I started off strong, carefully following Brent's every word.
Bigger wedge.
But it wasn't long before I was down. Again. But I got back up, powered through,
Oh, you kind of flatten the ski out.
and eventually slid into Brent's favorite part of the day.
I enjoy teaching because I get to see the look of fear in people's eyes in the morning and a big smile on their face in the afternoon.
I need a grade. How'd I do?
A+.
A+. And it was all smiles, as I could finally count myself
Soak it all in.
as one of the few. Yo, this was so much fun to shoot. Like, I was terrified. At first going into it, I was like, oh, it's fine, whatever, it's just skiing. Until I got up there. Like,
I'm so proud of you, though, Jamol.
Thank
To
you.
see you in skis, that is so cool. You're getting out of your shell.
Absolutely. And I was like, that's something I wanted to, that's why, we're starting this series. I was like, I really wanted to, take an extra step, because you can't really complain about, how things aren't diverse and how things are that, how there aren't spaces for Black people if you don't even step out of your comfort zone and take that risk.
I'm guilty of that because
Oh.
I have never been skiing. I have no current plans to do
Ashton,
such things.
does it make you want to do it now that you see these statistics or this video? It
Yeah,
looked really cool.
1.5%.
Not really. It does look fun. It's nothing, something I've never experienced. I'm not an athletic person, and that looks very athletic to me.
I think when I was younger, too, when I first wanted to get into, because I snowboard, but it was also
snowboard?
I snowboard. I'm mediocre snowboarder, but I do.
I'd love to see that.
But it was also a big part that it's very isolating if you don't have friends that actually do it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until somebody actually said, "Hey, get a pass, come up with me." And this friend of mine lived here for the entire season, and so that's the one time that I was like, "Okay, this is fun," but it is expensive. It's really expensive.
I guess when you talked to him, the ski instructor that you were paired up with, did he give you a sense of why there aren't the slopes aren't as diverse as we want them to be?
No, he said, the one reason he said it was just Black people as a rule are just more cautious when it comes to things. And he's not wrong, because my friends and my family are quick to, even when I post my pictures when I got up here, when I moved out to Colorado and I started going hiking or going into the mountains, they'd be like, ooh, that's white people stuff. What you doing? We don't do that. Like, or if like it's something to do with animals, they're like, oh no, thank you, we're good on that.
That's so true.
It is very true, and it's like I don't want to like make it seem like we're like it's a stereotype, but like it's so common. And I texted my friend, I texted my group chat. I was like, "What's some things that y'all would say like, oh, that's for white people?" And the first thing they said was skiing,
Hiking.
canoeing, hiking, like crazy. And I was like, "This is stuff that everybody can do." So,
Well, that's cool that you're putting it out there and you're like taking people on this journey with you, because like that kind of encourages me to like give it at least one try.
yes.
Amazing.
Oh, and when he does it, I promise we'll get that on video. It's gonna be a
Gotta
good
try
time.
it at least once, and I can't wait to hear back.
Yes,
how that
this is
goes.
just the first installment, y'all. We're gonna do different activities or professions. I have some things in the work right now, so definitely stick around all February. And we're gonna try to not just February, like all year long. We're gonna try to continue to step out of our comfort zone. That includes
Stepping
you
out?
too, Laura. Stepping out, stepping in.
Stepping in.
We're stepping into something new. All right.
Let's see.
And one of the biggest barriers that deter folks from hitting the slopes is money. Lift tickets are most expensive. It's not uncommon to pay $200 for a day pass and $60 for rental equipment equipment rentals. Lessons will cost another $150 on the low end. Thankfully, there are groups hoping to remove that barrier for black people that just want to give it a try. So Ski Noir 5280 is one of the most popular in Colorado. Throughout the season, they provide equipment, transportation, and lessons to help get people started. You can head over to skinoir5280.com to become a member or to donate and help them fulfill their mission.
Love that.
All right. And retail giant Target is back in the hot seat after controversy erupted over its misinformation of Black history. In a viral TikTok video, a Las Vegas high school teacher points out the misidentification of Black civil rights icons found in a magnet collection used to teach Black history. In the collection, several activists were mistakenly identified. For example, Booker T. Washington was identified as W.E.B. Du Bois, who was identified as Carter G. Woodson, just to name a few. Target has since pulled the collection from its stores and its website following the backlash, but I want to ask, like, who is to blame for this? Like, who?
I think it went through a lot of people before it got out to the store. So I don't know why we need then history
It's
lessons.
egregious, yes.
I mean, if that's not a sign why we need like these courses, especially the ones that they're like banning, these AP African American courses.
It smells like Ron DeSantis.
It felt- I think
Gee.
whoever created that project, I'm like, to me, like when I see something like that happen, like something so blatantly wrong, it feels like that's when the performativeness is
Right.
highlighted. It's like, oh, Clay, you just wanted to profit off of Black History
Yes.
Month. You're not making this for a purpose.
Yes. That's why it's so important to have representation on every level in these organizations, because how many eyes did this go past? And I'm like, oh, that looks good. And this ends up in stores for children to be taught with. That's why it's so important, going back to those AP African American courses back in Florida. That's why it's so important for us to be educated on our own history, because this was a Black high school teacher that was educated enough to know, like, hey, like, that's not Booker T. Washington, and that's not such as, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like a normal person probably wouldn't catch that.
No,
So-
and that's what I was mentioning too earlier to you, Ashton, that when I think of civil rights activists, like when I think of Black civil activists, I always think of like Martin Luther King.
There's
You know,
more-
like I know, and there's a lot more history that we need to know, and that's why it's so important to have those advanced courses as well, because there's more to it. There's more than slavery. There's just many people that have contributed to this country.
I agree with
And also just having people on the team, by the way, that are well versed in Black history. Like if you're going to put out a product
Right.
that's targeted for Black people, talking about Black history, even if that person isn't Black, which they should be, like they should at least know what they're talking about. Because I don't think just us, like we shouldn't just know about Black history. Like white people, whoever it is, should also make sure that they know.
Right.
So these things don't slip through the cracks.
Like
So-
it shouldn't even be on a Black person to have caught that
Right.
mistake.
It could easily, a Black person could have seen it and not known anything. Don't assume just because I'm Black, I know Black history. I could do better.
So had you saw that Magna book, would you recognize that it was wrong?
I would have known
Probably
that
not.
W.E.B. Du Bois was wrong, at least. At the very least.
The Booker T. Washington one got me. I was like, they don't.
These are prominent figures.
Right. Like people that I actually a little bit educated on. So yeah. Anyways.
Work.
West Point Academy can continue to consider race in its admissions process. The conservative group Students for Fair Admissions asked the Supreme Court to immediately block the school from using race as a factor to decide admission. The court refused, but a lawsuit is still going through the lower courts. This follows a decision last year to declare affirmative action programs unlawful at Harvard and the University of North Carolina. That ruling specifically mentioned that the decision did not address military academies.
The LA Times' only Latina opinion writer just got laid off, along with dozens of other journalists of color. Now they're worried it means less people will be around to call out misinformation and fake content aimed at Latinos. The LA Times alone laid off 115 newsroom staffers. Journalists have often been the first to point out false rumors circulating in their own communities. According to a Nielsen study, Latinos are more likely to consume and share misinformation on topics such as COVID, politics, and immigration. How do you guys think these cuts are going to affect our elections this year?
Jamol, you want to take that one?
I feel like a lot of the hot button topics for this election include Hispanic and Latino people. So I feel like if you don't have those people in the newsroom to help moderate that type of stuff, it can honestly sway the election like crazy. Like, I remember we talked about a story a few weeks ago about how I think Fox News did an interview with Trump, but they didn't ask him any of the questions that I know that community was really...
Univision.
Oh yes.
It was Univision.
Oh, y'all, I'm sorry. I promise I'm not coming for Fox News. I'm not coming for Fox. I misremembered. It was Univision, right.
Jesus.
It was Univision. Thank you. This is why we have people here to fact check me. But no, they did it with Univision, and they didn't talk to Trump about all the topics that probably matter to that community most. So I can see that happening here where it's like, okay, they're putting out all this content towards Hispanic people or Latino people, and that sways them to vote a certain way when they're not really getting the full story.
Absolutely. And I think also, just using as an example, in Colorado, there were like anti-trans flyers that were being sent out, and specifically to Hispanic homes. So as the station got, word of this happening, we immediately, did a story, debunked that misinformation, and I also put out a Spanish content story. Why? Because it takes fact-based journalists to actually help build trust with those communities. So it is important to have them there. A lot of Latinos, we get our information from Facebook, from social media, and anyone. You guys have to remember, we can all create podcasts. We can all do a TikTok. I mean, it takes that to misinform a huge community.
I actually think that's probably what's impacting journalism today. That we have all these different mediums to explore and to get information. I know, I'm not traditionally going to a website specifically to get my information. It may be Instagram, TikTok is really big, and that's how these new generations, these younger generations, are getting their information. And in my opinion, I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing layoffs and why these organizations are restructuring. I think it's unfortunate, though, or it's a little slighted when it's predominantly affecting journalists of color. I know the NABJ recently just put out a grant for Black journalists that were impacted by these layoffs because it's so widespread and it's happening all over the country.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And with the layoffs, I feel like, of course, the first people to go traditionally are probably the people that have been there the least amount of time, maybe. So they're sorry. But I feel like as we go along, I feel like different industries are getting more diverse. So, of course, the newer people there are going to be probably people of color or diverse people. So they're going to be the first ones to get chopped off. So it makes me wonder if it's okay, well, if diversity is really that important to you, are you going to start laying off some people that may have been there a while but are less diverse?
Yeah.
It's some big decisions that they have to make.
And just going back real quick, just to the election to end, there are a lot more people that are going to vote in this election compared to 2020. That's projected for 2024, and 22% of Latino voters are going to be voting for the first time. So it is a growing group. It's one of the second largest growing groups of Latino voters. And so I'm hoping, there's people there to debunk all that misinformation.
Yeah, this is going to be a wild election year, and we're going to be covering it all. We have a whole political expert that we'll have joining us throughout the year, I'm sure. So definitely we'll be keeping an eye on those trends. So we also have an update about the Senate sex tape scandal that we told you about a few weeks ago. Capitol Police have decided to close the investigation. Back in December, a video leaked of a staffer having sex in the Senate hearing room. Capitol Police say despite a likely congressional policy violation, there's no evidence of a crime.
Are reparations happening in California? Well, it seems closer to becoming a reality. The California Legislative Black Caucus announced its reparations priority bill package aimed at dismantling systemic racism Black people have suffered. So last year, a task force provided an 1,100-page report to the caucus on ways to address monetary reparations. These new proposals seek to implement ideas such as returning property taken from owners, expanding access to education, and eliminating barriers for people with criminal records. But some are already criticizing the bill for not going far enough.
And Russia has made its first convictions in connection with the international LGBT social movement, which was designated as extremist last year. In one Russian court, a man was ordered to pay a fine after he posted a photo of an LGBTQ flag online. A woman was sentenced to 5 days in jail for wearing rainbow-colored earrings in public, and one artist was fined over several Instagram posts. The ban continues a pattern of increased restrictions on expressions of sexual orientation and gender identity.
Right. And a new bill introduced in Oklahoma would ban state agencies from celebrating Pride Month. It's called the Patriotism Not Pride Act. If it passes, it will also ban any flags that represent sexual orientation or gender identities on state property. The bill is among the first to target the use of state funds for Pride initiatives and celebrations. This year, lawmakers in Florida and Tennessee have introduced bills that would ban Pride flags in schools.
Super Bowl is like the quintessential American event, right? This is a participatory event, not only nationwide, but global. And that is why the performance of Andra Day performing Lift Every Voice and Sing is incredibly beautiful to think about and super important. As the Black National Anthem, this performance, highlights African American cultural experiences, the heritage, the legacy of Black folk in this country.
That was Melvin Villiver, a professor at Clemson University, who spoke on the cultural significance of Black history being in the Super Bowl. This year's show will be headlined by superstar Usher, with singer Andra Day performing the Black National Anthem. When you think of the Super
Oh, no, I was just going to say how great this was, especially now that they're trying to take Black history out of schools and stuff. We have like the biggest platform, the biggest stage to put our history on display.
But a lot of that change came in recent years, I always say post 2020, especially with the integration of the Black National Anthem, which is Lift Every Voice and Sing, which is iconic for the Black community. And I think by seeing something like that implemented, it gives us more cultural relevance in mainstream media. Like the Super Bowl is one of the biggest stages every year. So to see someone like Usher going back to Beyonce, Rihanna.
Yeah, the one that was really epic too was the one with all the rappers that were in that halftime show. Oh my God,
All the rappers.
Dr. Dre,
Mary J. Blige.
Yes. Well, a lot of OJs is what I mean.
Right.
Okay, but yeah, even just going back to that, it makes me think right now how exciting it is of us talking about the Super Bowl, which I am well aware you're never excited about. Ashton.
No, I'm not. I'm excited when it's like an artist that I like that is performing. I think Usher's going to do a great job. He's an amazing performer. He already is like the king of Vegas. He has his residency show there, which is I think he's been doing for the past 2 or 3 years. And so I really feel like he's going to put on a great show. And he's said that he's going to center Black music, R&B music, and Black artists. So I'm really excited to see it.
As he should, especially since all these other performers, I feel like I see the performances, they're very derivative of some Black performers and things like that. They've been inspired from Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, all these things like Justin Timberlake, even Madonna, when she did her like Vogue situation, that was from, queer people of color, the Vogue scene, the whole ballroom scene. So I love to see us putting our own culture on display, spotlighting that. And
a lot bigger audiences too, as they take a lot of these games international. So
that'd be something. Is there a moment that sticks out for y'all, that like a culturally impactful Black culture moment that sticks out for y'all in the Super Bowl?
It's always going to be Beyonce and Destiny's Child for me. What do you mean? It's not the only answer. That's not the only answer. But
I did like Rihanna. I know you're like not a fan, but I still
Diana
think
Ross.
Rihanna was awesome.
Diana Ross.
Coming down from the helicopter or going up, whatever. She was on a helicopter.
Yeah.
crazy, wild.
And not black, but Shakira and J-Lo were by far one of my
said
favorites
black
too.
culture.
I know, but I had to stick out of that one because
But no,
that one is
that's-
culturally
That's a good
relevant.
example because ever since Jay-Z, who is at the helm of creating these halftime shows, I feel like he's been very specific in integrating BIPOC culture, like Latino culture, black culture. We saw that in Miami with J-Lo and Shakira. We see that last year with Rihanna. We're seeing it this year with Usher. So like, I love the different cultures that like he's centering on these stages.
It brought me back to Bruno Mars. Didn't he also do a halftime show that
did.
was amazing? Because
He
I was like,
was.
wait a second. I know there was one more that I've seen.
Yeah.
So yes,
Was that
to your
the-
question. There you go.
Was that the one that Beyonce was a part of? Or
What-
did he do his own separate? 'Cause I know Coldplay did one, and he brought out Bruno
Beyonce did a
Mars and
separate one,
Beyonce.
and then like a couple years later, she did one with Coldplay and Bruno Mars. So she's been there several times.
It was also a cultural moment.
Yeah. I still love this. Look at us talking football. I love
Yeah,
that.
sorry, look at us. I love sports.
Okay, enough Super Bowl. Let's get into the good news. Okay, it looks like the Queen didn't take her post-Christmas hiatus. Because Mariah Carey is back with a new residency, the celebration of Mimi. The exclusive Las Vegas event will honor the 19th anniversary of her album, The Emancipation of Mimi, which features her mega hit, We Belong Together. The show will debut at Dolby Live on April 12th and run through April 27th.
And despite there not being any Latin performances at the 2024 Grammy Awards, some Latin artists did end up with awards, like Colombian singer Karol G. She made history as the first Latina to win for Best Urban Music Album for Mañana Será Bonito. She accepted her award, introducing herself as an artist from Medellin, and thanked her fans for healing with her.
And the 66th annual Grammy Awards saw some firsts. Victoria Monet, Coco Jones, and Tyler received their first awards from the Academy. Victoria secured Best New Artist, Best R&B Album, and Engineered Album Non-Classical. Coco Jones brought home Best R&B Performance for ICU, and Tyler won the first ever award in the New African Music Performance category. So, yeah, I personally enjoyed the winner. Well, most of the winners this year. We're going to celebrate the good.
Yeah.
But, yes, okay, we have to acknowledge the snub. Yes, SOS.
Wait, there was multiple snubs.
Oh, were there?
There was.
Okay.
That young lady that won Album of the Year. She snubbed Celine Dion. And you know Celine Dion is very precious to the black community.
I did see that.
And I was not feeling that.
Yeah, I would have.
I already don't listen to her music, but I was upset by that.
I do. I am a Taylor Swift fan, and I can tell you. Well, I guess music is objective, whatever. But I mean, SZA's
Déclassé.
SOS
It was déclassé.
was. Oh yes, okay. The Celine Dion moment. Yes, she did accept the award from Celine Dion. Didn't even look her in the eye. Didn't thank her. Didn't acknowledge her really
She
at
may
all.
have just been excited.
Right, she might have been
you know,
excited in the moment. Granted, if I were there in front of Celine Dion, I mean, I'm not. Clearly, I'm here. But if I were, I feel that I would.
Also, SZA being snubbed though. Let's not.
Oh,
forget
SZA also being
Yes.
snubbed. Yes. So SZA's SOS, which was probably, I want to say,
one of the biggest albums last year, if not the biggest.
biggest albums. It broke so many records, and it
Right.
was actually really good, as opposed to Taylor Swift, which I love. Taylor, I love you. I love you. I'm a fan. I've been riding with you for
This is a culture
15
report.
years.
We
But
ain't gotta
that,
do all
that
I
was
love
not her
you.
best work, though.
However,
it really
that was not her
not.
best work, and it's definitely not the strongest of her other album of the year. She broke her record. She won Album of the Year 4 times. No other artist has ever done that. Beyonce's never done it, but we're not going to. Which Jay-Z
conversation.
brought up. Which there's some issues, like he said, within the Academy that probably need to be addressed soon, but I'm going to leave it at go where you're celebrated. So,
Absolutely.
you know, Soul Train Awards, the Hip Hop Awards, BET Awards, I'm going to see you. I'll be there.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll be back to continue the conversation next Thursday right here on our free 9 News Plus app and on 9news.com.